Okay, hello and welcome back to yet another episode of the Vidge and Waz Cool Stuff podcast. I'm Waz, and the gentleman on the other end of the line, Mr. Vidge. How are you, mate?
Another day in paradise. That's what I like to say.
Oh my goodness. I need you, man.
Why are you laughing? You got the giggles. What's going on?
I need to hype myself up because it's like 11:16 p.m. and we're trying to do a podcast.
Yes. Let's get some energy in there, Mr. Waz.
Such is life, mate.
Done. Such is life. Yeah. So today, we're going to be talking about the need for physical media.
Aren't we just? We are indeed, and before we get to that, this podcast we go through stuff that we are passionate about, and that includes gaming, tech, entertainment, all the good stuff. So please give us a like, subscribe, watch our other podcasts. We have quite a few numbers now on our YouTube page, so do follow and comment, engage with us. It's all good. So so the main meat of the bones today is I think the topic really sells itself is physical media dead, right? Is it dead? Now, what are we talking about specifically, Vidge? Because physical media could encompass a few things. So what is it? Break it down for the audience. What is the physical media we're getting into today?
So we're talking about DVD, Blu-ray, 4K Blu-ray when we're talking about films at home. And if you want to watch a film at home, we even talk, even from the earlier days with VHS, you used to go to a Blockbuster, you used to rent it, you used to take it home and watch it, on your VHS CRT TV, and you used to enjoy a movie that way. And then we had DVD, and now we're at the Blu-ray and 4K media stage. However, so that's film, and okay, you could say TV series. There, you get box sets of TV series. Game of Thrones, for example, which are available on the whole Blu-ray box sets. If you're a huge fan of the series and you really love the show, you can buy it and have it and watch it in the best image quality, shall we say, that you can get on your telly. So there's that element to it. And of course, it also encompasses video games as well, because you can now download video games to your console rather than buy them from the shop. So that it actually goes both ways. We talk about the media that we can enjoy in terms of entertainment, in terms of games, video games, and you also have another type of entertainment, which is film and TV, on physical media. And it's no secret that these formats cost more money than the alternative now, which has been introduced, say, a decade ago by streaming platforms such as Netflix. So really this whole podcast is about there's been a very sharp decline, or a steady sharp decline in DVD sales going down, just plummeting, and they're a lot less than they were back in 2010. It's been a decade and they've just shot all the way down. That's not to say that DVDs don't sell or Blu-rays don't sell. They do. They sell in their millions, but not as much as, well, I say millions, but they still make millions for the studio, shall we say. But they're not, they're another source of revenue for a film, shall we say. So that's something, but they're nowhere near as popular as they used to be back in, say, 2010.
Yeah. And I think it's, just for some context for the audience, both Vidge and I, we were born in the 80s, raised 80s and 90s. Back then our physical medium goes back to VHS tapes, DVD, Blu-ray. So for those of you listening in, which is like, well, we now live in that age where everything is kind of like streaming online, right? We're living that age now. But just to set that mindset and context of where we're coming from is that we've spent so much of our lives invested in physical media. There's like a physical aspect, like it's like buying a hard copy of a book or whatever, paperback copy, or having it on your Kindle, right? There's a difference to these things, and it's the same thing with a DVD or Blu-ray disc that we have. There's some kind of reward to having something physical, right? So I think saying that, what we've experienced and what we're living through now is basically the evolution of entertainment, right? We're going from, as I said, VHS, like tapes, We're going to from discs to now everything basically on the cloud. Now, what do you think of that? What do you think of everything moving? What do you think of this evolution? Do you like it? Is it? I mean,
I don't like the word revolution. Sorry, I don't like the word evolution. That's because evolution implies that we're progressing when I don't think we are. I think it's a revolution.
Interesting. Very interesting.
I see it as a revolution in how we view things. I mean, I've got up here like a page here from CNBC.com, which actually has the home video market sort of figures of DVD sales. So DVD was a format introduced in 1996. Yeah, it hit its peak in between 2004 and 2006 at over 16 billion, shall we say, in dollars, shall we say, for home video. And it started to decline from 2008 and spiral down. And even though they had the advent of the Blu-ray format in 2006, that has not even it doesn't even get nowhere near 16 billion. It's not even, it's nowhere near that. It's nowhere near 5 billion, to be honest. And it's sort of saying that Blu-ray hasn't actually gone down. It's actually stayed a constant from, say, that. It's just stagnated, Blu-ray, whereas DVD sales have plummeted towards where Blu-ray sales are. So we're less than 3 billion, shall we say, on that regard, or whatever it was. Right. It's there, but it's stagnated. And it stayed there, and here you can see on the graph, subscription streaming sort of came around to just between 2011 and 12, and you can see it just go sharply up. Just go all the way up, and that's gone there. And again, you also have digital sales of media as well. That was where you could just buy something online and just have it to watch, and that's gone up as well. But that again is just risen in this decade. So they're actually all on the same level of DVD Blu-ray sales, 3,000 in terms of billion or whatever it is. Whereas with digital streaming, we're above 10,000 in terms of figures of billion. So you have a huge increase in terms of subscription streaming. And that, when we say subscription streaming, we're talking about the advent of Netflix, which is the big one. You have Prime Video, you got Disney Plus, HBO Max, you got Apple TV Plus. Yeah, mate. And I don't know, did I say Disney Plus?
You did.
Yeah, so we have all these streaming platforms now. Yeah. And even if you look at the sales of media for a film that comes out, DVD is still the most popular format. Like Blu-ray makes up maybe a quarter of that, and 4K Blu-ray, which is the elite like myself, make up 4% of that. Yeah. So we even now in the world of high definition, where everyone's got HDTV, people are still buying DVDs for their HDTV.
Yeah, I mean, we are an aging population, right? And we basically we're the generation that's still buying DVDs. We're still very much alive. Now the generations that's upcoming, streaming is basically there. That's going to be the new normal. It already is, really. But you see 10, 20 years from now, how do you see that? How do you see the physical medium declining? Right.
Well, what the big surprise for me is people are buying more DVDs than Blu-ray and 4K Blu-ray still. And streaming gives you better definition in terms of video quality than DVD. Yeah. So I wouldn't ever buy a DVD again because of the setup that I have now. I'm in the realm of Blu-ray and 4K Blu-ray, and that. If you're looking at the technical aspect of it, I just want to nip this in the bud before we continue. A 4K Blu-ray will be better than any 4K stream, at least in the UK, because our internet service providers aren't that good where they can provide that much bandwidth. Typically, stream 4K content, whether you have Disney Plus or Netflix in 4K. And another thing I'd like to add is Netflix in 4K, one of the most biggest letdowns of it is, that some of their original TV shows, yes, they're in 4K. But say if you want to watch a movie like, say, Blade Runner 2049, which I really love, which is an amazing 4K film, it's not going to be in 4K. It's still full HD. Whereas if you buy the 4K Blu-ray, it'll be in 4K. So Netflix in 4K is a bit of a con, in my opinion, because of that one of those things. And Disney Plus, again, yes, they boast that they have 4K streaming. But I'll tell you something. I've got 128 meg broadband, which is pretty fast. Yeah, I have problems with the way Disney Plus streams its thing, even though it boasts it as 4K, and you can sort of see that it is. You're not getting that bit rate. You're not getting that bit rate as like a Blu-ray. And I did an experiment, where I had a 4K Blu-ray and the same Netflix film, and it just looks better on the 4K Blu-ray.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was Star Wars. So, I borrowed a friend's 4K Blu-ray because I haven't bothered buying the set yet, but it just didn't look as good on the stream. The colors look too vivid, but maybe that's just to do with color aspect rather than definition. But I just want to make a point that physical media is better in terms of quality than streaming. However, this all comes down to dollars and cents. It all comes down to money, okay? And people would rather just pay an X amount a month, say £6. What's it? It's about £8, £10 a month for Netflix now.
Yeah.
Pay a tenner a month for normal HD Netflix, and they can share it with another user or a loved one, and they can watch whatever.
Watch as much as you want, mate. It's a buffet.
Yeah.
That's basically it. We're living the digital buffet life, and okay. So I think, where. So I guess hearing from what you said.
So go on.
I was going to say, I guess hearing from where you stand is that you're a fan of physical media, right? If I'm not mistaken, you're a fan. All right, so
I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan.
So I'm both ways. All right, so I see where everything is going right now, and I don't think it's ever going to stop, because to your point, right? Where is the money now for film, specifically for film, right? Film and TV, everything is going subscription service, right? No doubt. It trickled into gaming as well. Now you had PS Plus, and you can do the Nintendo even have a family plan, which
Nintendo Switch Online, we get 8 users. I had that for the first year. Nobody, nobody wanted it. A waste of money,
exactly.
Man. I canceled my Switch Online.
You did.
After a year, pointless.
Xbox Live,
Yeah.
Basically everything is going direct. There's this basically direct to customer is the winner right now, and it's basically the model which all businesses are looking at. That's basically they see direct to customer D2C, and they're like, okay, this is the future. Let's get on it now. Subscription based services, and let's ride this train. And this is really, especially in this age of COVID, why this year's this has really shaped what the future is going to hold for films, games, etc. Now, I think to that point, where I stand is that, okay, if I can get my hands on a physical disc of a game, okay, let's just talk about games. If I can get physical hands on a game, I would. Films, I'm not too bothered about, unfortunately, because wait, am I allowed to say that I BitTorrent? Is that?
Yeah, you're allowed to say.
Is that? Okay, so that's another subject which remind me to get onto BitTorrenting, because it is relevant as well to our topic. But for gaming, I'm not. We don't have the bandwidth yet to have to stream the gaming services. Okay, so PS. Is it called PS?
You're talking about. I mean, you can. What I'm trying to say. So with games, okay, you can't stream, but you can also download games onto your
correct.
system.
Yeah,
you can actually stream. Okay, you can stream the NES and the SNES stuff with the Nintendo Switch Online, because they're smaller games. Yeah, obviously the technology is older. But say, for example, I'll give you an example. Yeah, of when I first noticed these pay-for-view sort of things. So I had a Nintendo Wii U. Yeah, you can cuss me for having one. I don't care. I loved it. But I had a Nintendo Wii U. And I noticed that they did it with their eShop then. And for example, there was a game called Mario 3D World, which they launched on it. Now, the interesting thing was they offered a download. We could download it to the hard drive. You could pay for it on their Switch shop, so on their Wii U eShop, and download the game onto your system, and you could play it that way. Or you could buy the physical media in the shop. Now, this is the interesting thing. I just want to put it value-wise, right? So their price for the digital download for this game was $49.99.
Yeah.
In the shop, it was $39.99 for a physical copy.
Yeah.
This was like, we're talking like, this was ages ago now. That game must be 10 years old now. But this was like ages ago. Now, that must have, I noticed that, Sony are doing something similar with their PS5. Now we've got 10 years along the line. They're doing something where they've got a digital-only version of the PS5, and they've got a physical one where you can actually put.
Yes, true. Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Now it'll be interesting to see what they're going to do with that. Are they going to launch the digital one, and are they going to change their pricing? So yeah, okay, you download the digital game, you're not owning the tangible copy of that physical media, but we're going to sell that game to you at, say, 30 quid, or you could buy a tangible game for 40, 45 quid. Now that would make sense. I can understand why they want to make a budget non-tangible media one, because there are people that might, it's all to do with economies of scale.
Yeah.
But saying that, some people would say, well, hang on, but I actually want to own the physical copy because I could then sell it on and get some of that money, 45 quid back.
Yep.
I could probably get 30 quid back. Whereas that digital copy stuck me for life.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
How some people might think, whereas some people might, and there's collectors like me, like when we going back to the whole 4K Blu-ray DVD thing, I recently bought, you're going to laugh at this, okay, but a typical geezer movie. I bought Scarface, the anniversary edition. I think it's the 40th anniversary of Scarface or something like that. I can't remember what it was. But I know it came with this like lovely little golden statue in there that says "The world is yours." So it's a nice little finishing touch of it in the 4K set. So some of these collector's editions come with these little toys or ornaments that you get to have, and I wanted the ornament, which is why I bought that thing.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So there's that. There's like a collector's edition 4K Back to the Future trilogy. And another thing I want to talk about when we talk about 4K is older films look better in 4K than some of the newer films, because they're shot in film and you can blow them up to fit a 4K thing, so it look better. And I think for definitely older films, 4K is still alive and well, and the fans of these classics like The Shining in 4K and great films, breakthrough films of the past, people will always buy. Lord of the Rings in 4K is something I'm definitely looking forward to. Both extended and theatre cuts. I even heard that they're going to make an even extended cut for this special edition, because there's still a lot of things that Peter Jackson was saying he might put in. So that will be interesting.
Wow.
But going back to the whole issue of is 4K or is physical media going to die? I think if we're talking about gaming, it still has a long time yet, like you said, in terms of streaming those games. And I do think that digital media does have a place in gaming, because some people just don't have the space to store all this stuff. Remember we talked the other week about mini consoles and how the benefit is you save so many space by having so many games in one little thing. And the same sort of thing with streaming and things like that. It's just easier to stream a movie than own the actual disc, and it takes up space, with boxes that are covered in dust like I do, But unless you're a big fan, unless you're a huge fan, I think there are enough films fans out there that do love films at home that will buy it. But again, streaming has really taken over, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah.
One thing that I raised my thumb up while I was talking, because there was a point I wanted to make and I've remembered it now, which is I invited a friend of mine over to watch John Wick. Now, I don't have any of those films on 4K yet, and they deserve the 4K treatment. I love those
Baba
films.
Yaga.
Baba Yaga. Baba Yaga, is it? I can't remember. Anyway. So anyway, he'd never seen this film. He goes, "Oh wow, it's a really good film. I want to see the second one. When can I come over to see the second one? Whenever you want, whatever, man. It's on Netflix." I checked the other week. They've taken Chapter 2 off of Netflix.
Yeah, okay? They will do that.
So they will do that. So Chapter 1 we watched on Amazon Prime. Chapter 2 and 3 was on Netflix. Now they just have Chapter 3 on Netflix. So John Wick 2 isn't there. So there's a drawback to streaming that I just wanted to make a point at, which is it's not going to have every film you ever wanted or that there ever was. For example, the Godfather trilogy isn't on any streaming platform because it was made by Paramount Studios. They don't have their streaming platform, so it's not going to have all the movies. It's not going to have everything. It's got most things, but I can only watch The Godfather on physical media, which is DVD or Blu-ray, which I have.
Yeah.
So I think if you really are a fan of certain films and you know that they don't belong to a big studio, like Disney, for example, where you can get Disney Plus and you can stream anything anyway, it's nice to have little things, or indie films, or films that are so, like there's this science fiction film called Soylent Green, that I really love. It's in the 70s and I have it on disc. I can't stream it anywhere, but it's such a niche thing. They never thought about putting it onto Netflix or whatever, not that I know of anyway. Yeah. So those film fanatics like myself, who are into film and like certain science fiction films like myself, know that Netflix doesn't have all the science fiction films. It has a lot, but it doesn't have all of them. Yeah. So there are benefits to owning physical media. And right now, what Disney, I like picking on Disney because they're the biggest sort of most recent phenomenon recently, which is they're saying there was a report on on the 8th that came out about Disney trying to sort of scale back on their 4K Ultra HD physical release of its movies. And they were saying that most of it's going to be digital. And they said, apart from the Disney, Pixar, and Star Wars and Marvel stuff, all the older back catalogue that they got from Fox and even some of their old stuff like Mary Poppins, they not very well get a physical 4K release. They might just put it onto Disney Plus, which I think sucks really, because what they're saying is, if you want to watch our legacy stuff in HD or whatever, or watch them anyway, you have to get Disney Plus. So basically, they want you to sign your life over to Disney Plus for the rest of your life, rather than buy that one film and own it for the rest of your life. And it's just them trying to make money out of you, and suck you in like a vacuum. And that's really naughty of Disney, in my opinion, that they've done that. Although, Forbes recently then said Disney has formally denied that it's ditching 4K Blu-ray catalog releases. But it kind of, the cat's out of the bag. We know they're going to cut down on a lot of things. Like, what really upsets me is I'm an Aliens fan. I love the Aliens film, and James Cameron, it has a good relationship with Disney, and that's why he's going to get the Avatar sequels greenlit. Mm-hmm. And we may very well see Aliens, his sequel, come on 4K Blu-ray, because Alien is on 4K Blu-ray, but Aliens isn't. But then what about Alien 3 and Resurrection? I mean, I know you probably aren't a fan, and there's quite a lot of people that aren't fans of those other films that they said they were terrible. But I actually like Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection. I like the quadrilogy.
You like it when she shaved her head.
She got $10 million for doing that,
Worth it, man. Well worth it.
So it's an interesting film anyway. But
yeah,
I wanted them to release everything, not everything, but all the sort of notable films in 4K, and Disney sort of said, well, actually, we're going to cut down on that, and I didn't like that, because that means I'm obligated to have Disney Plus if I want to watch these films in 4K or in HD, because they're going to not re-release them. So I'm like, oh right, what am I going to do? In terms of if I want to watch this film, it's going to be on those things. So, those are my thoughts on Disney being a bit dirty. But I do think, look, to answer your question, and to get to the point, I do think that DVD sales, Blu-ray sales, or 4K Blu-ray sales will decline maybe a little bit more, but I think they'll just stay at a level, and I'm praying that it'll stay at a level where people will still want to buy these things. And will the cost of these physical media go up a little bit? I don't know. Okay, I don't think it will. But I think there will be a loyal fan base who will buy physical media still and not subscribe to these platforms. Or, like me, they might have these platforms, because I've got Netflix, Prime, and Disney Plus, but I might cancel my Disney Plus anyway, because I only watched it for the...
You should. They just want your money.
They just want money. I only went with them because I had a deal, and I went halves with my brother. It was like a £50 deal on release, and me went 25, he went 25, and watched The Mandalorian, that's it. And it's got a nice little legacy of everything. And to top it off, this is another thing I don't like about Disney Plus, which is, they made a live action Mulan. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do you much money they want you to? I thought they're going to release for a stream. I thought, wicked, I've got Disney Plus, I'll just watch it when it comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Nah. They want to charge us. I think I read somewhere on the site, it's $30 if you want to watch that film on Disney Plus.
Wow.
If you want to pay to view it on and stream, $30, I can understand. Say if I had you around the corner, I had my mate Rob, we could all chip in and watch it on my TV. Fair enough, but not everybody's going to do that, are they? $30 is extortionate just to watch a film.
Is that for you to keep? Is it a single stream, or is it?
I don't know if it's single stream or if it's for you to keep, but I know you can stream it, pay $30 and you can stream it. I don't know if it's single stream or for you to keep.
Yeah.
But I think it's single stream, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because that film is, again, it's going to release it in the cinemas when COVID breaks free. So I think it's just for single stream, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm gonna say my spiel, because I reckon, through the natural course of things, physical media is in about 20, 30 years is going to be dead as VHS tapes are now. I'm just going to say it there. And this is my really what I think. Just because of the trajectory of everyone going to, it's really about what's convenient. Now, subscription is super convenient. It's, the more and more people want things in demand. Beforehand, you'd have to wait for theatrical release. You had to wait for it to come out onto DVD, right? Remember those days when we had to wait for Vig, right? These days, there's no more waiting. Everything is in your face, okay?
Yeah.
And there is an insatiable hunger and thirst for things on demand. And that's not going to decline anytime soon. Eventually, we're going to get to a point where, OTT platforms like Netflix will acquire, or, the studios themselves will have their own D2C platforms. And, most titles that you'd want will be able to be streaming on these services. Now, what does that mean for physical media? Well, sad to say, but for the film industry, I reckon the physical media side will be close to dead. Close to dead. You remember? Okay, imagine in 20 to 30 years, our bandwidth and capability is going to be at a certain rate, which will allow us to stream in 4K. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Right now, we're not there yet, but it will be soon. And the convenience of having to just subscribe, a couple of quid a month, and have a buffet of films is that's anyone's paradise. And we'd be happy we'd be happy to take that, mate. And so that's actually a really sad thing, isn't it? Right?
I'm happy with it if it's got everything. Yeah, but there isn't everything on there yet.
Well, that's an actual sad thing about it, because rightly to your point, right? You think of a Blu-ray, you think of DVD and Blu-ray release, right? With special collector's editions, you get like special things with it, right? You get your little toys, your Back to the Future.
The making of the making of the
you also,
scene.
yeah, exactly. The DVD and Blu-ray releases come with directors' commentary. They come behind the scenes, deleted scenes. They come with so much more that nothing offers right now on streaming services.
We do actually tell a lie. Disney Plus. If you go and watch a Marvel film on it, actually a number of films do have special features on the disc, and they do show you the deleted scenes. So there's another tab where you can actually go through those special features. So they are offering that.
Oh,
you can with Disney Plus.
Well, there you go. Well, there you go. Soon, like real. I'm telling you, mate. Like real soon, we're gonna have to say goodbye to discs. Discs are like CDs, right? Not even DVDs. That's about CDs. They're obsolete, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're obsolete. Pretty much.
I don't know, man. I still listen to some music in my car stereo.
Come on, man. Come on. Music is another thing, right? Come on. Music has gone completely digital now. There is no way you're buying a CD unless it's. I mean, you can still buy albums, right?
Well, saying that, there are a lot of people that do. Well, you do, albums, or if you're a fan of a really particular, like, there's a guy I work with, he bought a vinyl because he's got an audio system.
Okay, that's something different. Vinyl is something different. Vinyl is now it's to a point whereas now it's antique, where the quality of vinyls is actually very, very high. It's extremely high. Vinyl quality
even though it's an analog format, I think the speakers and the way that the sound plays from a vinyl is very different, and it's the way the artist generally intends it when they want you to buy the vinyl. I mean, CD is not to us. That's a perfect soundtrack because that's what it is. They've got most of what's on there, and it sounds really good. Anyway, you can get a good sound system as well. So I wouldn't say CD is obsolete. I wouldn't go that far because CD sales are still quite high these days. The people CDs are selling. Like I bought an album from a group called Electric Youth, which is I don't know, a Canadian. The people who did the music to Drive, they've got one of their tracks in that film. So I like that sort of music to some extent, and they offered that. I thought, I'll buy the disc because I like all the tracks on the album, most of them anyway.
Interesting.
So, there is a CD that I bought. I thought I wanted to have that track, and I want to play it in my car. I want to play it in my stereo, so I did have that. So there, and again, like when I bought, I know I mentioned Streets of Rage 4. It came with the music CD, the soundtrack of the game. I like some of those
touch like that
electronic sounds that are on there, and it's nice to have. So I wouldn't go as far as saying CD is dead. It's still a very good format that people will still use. Now, when you say 20 to 30 years, maybe, I mean, who knows what the future will hold for us? And if we're talking about film, it's such it's such an unpredictable place. And we talk about formats and high definition. Do we see films becoming more and more high def than 4K? I do, but I think it's pointless. I think 4K is really the limit of the definition that we can have in our homes right now.
Yeah, that's true. Very
and that's
true.
Only for that's only. I think that's only for the enthusiast who's crazy about film like me. Most people, Blu-ray is good enough, in my opinion, or full HD.
Yeah.
And like we mentioned before, in terms of special editions on disc and the artwork and all that, there'll always be that fan, and I'll always hold on to my physical media because I think if they do eventually stop, they might actually go up in price because people might actually see these things as antiquated as it is. Yeah, people will still want it or be sought after. Video games, for example, the retro market. You could say a Sega Mega Drive is obsolete, but some of these games on them, that they go for like 200 quid on eBay. Because you can't get them anymore. So some people. Well, they're saying that's a totally different thing altogether. You could argue that games and movies, there's a line you have to draw there in terms of the art form and how people value them and how we play those games. So games have had more of an evolution than films, I would say. Games evolve in the formats and the way that the graphics have evolved, and the music and how we play the games have evolved. Whereas films, they've more or less stayed the same, really, in how we view it. It's just the colors that have changed, really, and how the definition has changed in the filmography. So I suppose, you obviously want to view, for example, if you want to view a film that's old, okay, if you can get a format that can play that film and make it look better than the old one, of course you're going to go for that. Now, the question I want to move on to in terms of, remember how I said, I think it's a revolution rather than evolution, which is, right now, as it stands, for the film enthusiast, streaming is all right if you just like full HD. But if you want 4K, like me, and the best image quality that it can offer you, streaming just isn't there yet. And that's why I think right now we're in a bit of a transition, and we still have years to go for it to evolve to a stand where it can surpass 4K media in the streaming arena. And we're talking streaming here. We're not talking about pay-per-view or download and own. We're talking about streaming here, just streaming onto your device. So that's going to take a while. And I do think your prediction of 20 to 30 years in terms of film, let's leave gaming, let's push gaming to the side. Because gaming is such a difficult thing, because I think gaming's not going to, physical media will always be there for gaming, because gaming is evolving in terms of the more graphics, more definition. VR gaming soon. We'll be in a holo suite like in Star Trek soon. It's just going to go into that direction. Maybe it might go in that direction. I don't know. But gaming is always going to evolve, and you're not going to have the data of the internet to stream these sort of games onto your platform. Maybe older games, yes, but not newer games. But I do think with film, it's still. We've still got some time, but you're kind of right in the sense that, a lot of physical media sales will die down unless you really, and there are fans of the films that will still always want that physical media. So I don't think it'll be completely dead. I just think if you want to buy a film on physical media, you're paying a premium for that because the manufacturing cost at that point will be very high. So I think there'll always be a fan of a person who will want to play a film. Maybe we won't have discs anymore. Maybe we'll have one little chip that you can just plug it into and play.
Called USBs.
I don't know. Cool USBs, yeah, that's where we're at now. But I think they offered that on. It's interesting you say that, because I remember Star Trek, the new one by J.J. Abrams, the first, I say new, 2009 model, 2009 year when it came out, the first one. They offered you a choice of Blu-ray, DVD, and if you were lucky, you got a limited edition little Star Trek USB
Oh, interesting.
stick. You had the film on, and you could play it via USB. That was your digital copy. So that was interesting how they were offering digital copies. And now they do it where, so for example, my Deadpool, I got Deadpool on 4K. And it offered me 4K, DVD, 4K, Blu-ray, and a digital copy of the film I could own as well and play on my portable player. And I never really used a digital copy, but that digital copy you got a little piece of paper with a digital copy code where you can put a code in and put the film in. And I never used it. I gave one of them to my cousins to sort of download, because I never, if you're going to buy it, I can understand it's a nice touch that they're giving you that, but I'll never ever watch the digital copy because I have the tangible copy. I just think it's just kind of redundant. It's a bit weird, but they want to make sure they're giving you something extra because you're paying a premium to have it on home video, as it is now anyway, to be fair, because you're paying for a physical copy. We'll give you both. So they are trying to make it more appealing for fans like myself who want to buy the physical copy of a movie. So I do think there will be, physical media, but you'll pay a premium for it. But Do you know what? It's just too much to predict in 20 to 30 years what we're going to get. The next 10 years, that's more. I mean, that's more interesting as to what will happen in more 10 years because you can sort of see where things are going to go. But I honestly think that we're at a point where technology is going to stagnate, and 4K is going to be the limit. I don't see them launching a new Blu-ray or a new high definition physical media format.
Yeah,
I think they just need to. That's the limit. And I think they just need to perfect it right now,
well,
and that technology needs to be cheaper as well.
Yeah. Well, funny you say that because go on. Yeah. Finish.
I think in time, as for example, with DVD players in 1995 when they first came out, they were 500 quid. You know. Now how much are they? And they got so much cheaper. So that's why DVD is the most popular format. And Blu-ray's been out for a decade now. Blu-ray players are cheap. Problem is the Blu-rays are still selling like 15 quid, you know, and the 4K media is at £20. Yeah. So in years from now, it'll be a lot cheaper. It's just they're just very early formats. And if you're a fan of certain films, and there's so many Blu-rays you can get pre-owned at charity shops now for like $5. It's attainable, but it's only if you're a fan of it would you ever want to buy it. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, so given the choice, okay, let's just say this scenario, mate. Okay, just for films, given the choice, if you were to buy, so it's either buy a Blu-ray disc of a film, right, or have it just pay a subscription service to have it streamed in 4K. And this subscription service has, you know, all the sci-fi you could eat. If you're in that position right now, if that was available to you, you had the bandwidth and everything was right, would you bother with Blu-ray disc?
I mean, you're talking to a person who'd want to do both.
Would you let's just say would you rather have a copy of both? Would you like to have the physical media and stream it whenever you'd like as well? I mean, does that not kind of contradict? I mean, not contradict. I mean, you're just basically doubling up. Is that like? I guess
I've kind of done that already. If you think about it, I'll give you an example of what I've done.
Yeah,
you're gonna laugh at this. Yeah, it's an embarrassing admission. Whatever. Yeah. All right. So I bought this Disney animated collector's edition Blu-ray set of all the Disney animated films from 30 something to 2018. Okay. Now that thing cost me £250 just to have that special collector's set. Warren's like, what? Everyone's just got money to burn. But hear me out, yeah? And this is going to make you laugh. Now, it's a dilemma of mine because I bought it last year, okay? Yeah. I still haven't opened it. It just sits there. And the reason I didn't open it is because Disney Plus came out, okay? And my brother bought it and I went halves with him. So I can watch those films on Disney Plus. I don't need to open that animated collector's set. And the reason I haven't opened it is because I've seen them go for 500 quid on eBay.
Wow.
So there you go. So there are some collectors out there that are willing to spend that kind of money. I'm thinking, you know, am I going to be am I going to be one of those people that just buys things to sell it? And I might actually end up becoming one of those people economically.
I could see you becoming that legit. Actually, no, that's a really good point.
And another thing, before I don't want to cut you off, but this is I just want to make this finish. This other point, I told you about this, about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Infinity Saga. I told you this, didn't I? And they sold it for like I think $400 in America. It was the whole set. It was a limited set, and there's only 1,000. And I've seen them going for 1,000 on eBay. And now they're going to re-release it in Europe for 400. So all those people paid 1,000 feel like mugs, but the fans wouldn't spend that money. So, you know, people spend this sort of money on physical media because they're fans of a certain franchise. So you have different pockets and markets when it comes to physical media as well. I just want to put that there's a niche but there's so many people that love Marvel and love those movies. That's become a phenomenon.
Yeah.
You know, the Disney classics is another one.
Yeah.
Star Wars, I don't know, with this new trilogy, well, that's something else. But anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, the more I listen to it, it's kind of like, you know, physical media is for the fans, you know, as time ages, you look at vinyls, that was a good example, right? Fans of, you know, that music, that, you know, specific music, because they're making vinyls for current music too. Actually, they're still being produced. So you can go out, buy a vinyl of the latest song. It can happen. Now, obviously, I think physical media is why I really see it now is really for the fan. Whereas for the general consumer, I mean, mate, streaming and subscription is the way to go. And, you know, your point just now about selling it off for a certain amount and people buying it for premium.
I'm looking at it now on eBay. I'm just facing it. It's just here. Someone's selling one for 400 quid. I'll get 150 quid profit if I just sell it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, true.
And now I can watch those films on Disney Plus. You know? So I don't know. Yeah. It's there, but it's a nice, I tell you what, it's a nice little thing to own because you've got a booklet in there that shows you how they animated everything. And if you're a fan of animation like I am, it might be worth keeping. And also Disney said that they're not going to redo these classics in 4K. So this would be as good as it gets. I think they only did one, which was Aladdin in 4K, and they're not going to bother with it. So they might not continue with that. So I'll just see what happens in years from now, and I might just sell it. It's such a rare thing.
Here's another thought, right? Physical media. Now there are some industries where physical media will die out very hard. It would be very hard for physical media to die out, and gaming is for sure one of them. I'll give you an example in a bit, and remind me to do that. So, but for example, like stuff like production. Now, footage. Let's just say you're in a production and you're filming with an RE and whatever, and you're filming to what? I don't know, external recorders and SSDs. Like, there's no way that you're gonna film onto like stream. Well, you know, the data rate of capture is so far ahead that you know there's no way you're gonna. You know, there's currently no way else that you're going to capture that amount of data in such a small space of time. So for example, that's just an example of, you know, industry where physical media is not going to die anytime soon. But for films, that is where I see it dying out a lot quicker than other industries. I think that's where I'm trying to get to as well. Yeah. And so back to my point about gaming. Now, in especially in Hong Kong, actually, and probably Japan as well, where I don't know, for some reason, the kind of like more kind of Eastern culture, the Asian cultures like to preserve a lot of the older stuff a little bit better than Western cultures. Is that a correct thing to say, or is that a misleading statement? Is it incorrect?
I don't know. It's. I mean, we do preserve. I mean, I've looked after all my video games after I've bought them.
Let's just say, you know, what's available in the shops right now in the UK, right? You can't go down to what's a game shop in the UK? I've been back in a while to
buy game
because it used to have
game.
It's called Game, right? Okay. Yeah. So you take Game, all right. Now obviously they sell secondhand. Right, they can sell secondhand game copies and titles, but they won't sell you retro consoles.
There was Game Station, but I think they went out of business. The CX Exchange now, I think they do the retro stuff. But I get what you're saying. There's not that much preserved old stuff in boxes now. Yeah, you know, people don't look after them as much. So I probably have to agree with you. You're absolutely right with the whole Japanese and Asian market containing and looking after their old stuff and keeping it all clean and mint. Whereas here it's not so much a thing. So it's much more expensive. Like my friend saying that, I've got a friend who sent me a wrote on his Facebook recently about him selling his old collection. Now I know who looks after his old Dreamcast, his old stuff, and I'm thinking, do I really want to buy it off of him now? You know, I'm thinking, am I in the mood for it now? And it's funny you mentioned this. It is a bit of a hypocrisy on my part, or the conflict within, which is, it's funny how I'll happily spend money on a movie that I really love on 4K, whereas with video games, you know, like I talked last week about mini consoles and how I'm reluctant to buy games because they take up too much space, old boxed games, because they just take too much space in my house, and when am I going to play them? You know, it's nice just to have them, you know, in a menu system like I have them on Mega Drive Mini that I've hacked and modified. I can just have them there at my leisure and play, and the emulation is as good as it gets, as good as I need it to be. Yeah, you know, with films, you can do the same thing pretty much, you know, in terms of what you mentioned. It's the same thing, but it's like, it's funny how with video games, which actually have more value, and they sort of the old tangible media will actually go up in price, you know, because they become rarer and rarer floating about. Whereas films, they're 1,000 to a penny, you know, on DVD and disc. They actually become worthless. It's weird how I'm like that. I'm backwards It should be the other way around.
Man, you.
I guess it's because the old Mega Drive games just take too much space up, or there's games boxes and all that, and they're just so big. Whereas DVD discs are a lot slimmer and they're easy to store.
Okay. So just to brush up on the point, but just to finish off as well. So in Japan, and especially in Hong Kong, and I'm sure like other Asian markets, we have so many stores and shops that will sell tons of secondhand games, consoles, older retro systems. Like you can find them. They're plentiful in these markets. If I went back to UK in London, I'd have to really search a bit deeper to find a few shops that will sell it.
Yeah.
But in Hong Kong, it's very much readily available, and it's very much a big market now. Like there's just this whole trading, very easily trading. I guess because Hong Kong's relatively small, it's very convenient to trade. But for example, in Hong Kong, I would almost always buy the physical media. Interesting point. Unless it's free from PlayStation Plus, because that gives me a free game every month. I'll just buy the digital. I'll just get the digital copy, right? But it's interesting. I felt it was interesting that I would always buy the physical media for games where I can. One, because actually, main point, it's actually cheaper than if you're buying it brand new from PS Plus from PlayStation Store. Sorry, from the PlayStation Store. Something cost like Last of Us 2 PlayStation Store. I think it was still like 40-50 US. In Hong Kong, I spent like 30 US, and I got the game. So within a small space of time, that price for the physical media version has dropped down significantly. Now, obviously, the runtime. So basically, obviously, you can plug in a hard drive and a solid state into your PS, and digital games can run a bit faster. The loading time can be faster, but it's not worth me spending that amount of money. Now, whereas films, I just can't find a bone in my body that's willing to buy a physical medium copy of a film. Do you see how that is also the hypocrisy of it, right? It's also backwards on my behalf. Yeah, games I have no problem with, but films, I'm like, I think I have one DVD in my apartment right now. I'm sorry to say, Mitch, I have one DVD.
There's nothing wrong with that, But
the rest is Netflix, and the rest is torrenting, my friend.
Yeah, but you said, look, listen, you said last week you got 400 square foot. You can't be buying all this stuff, and it kind of makes sense.
If I could, I would, right? But I couldn't. But let's just, I don't know, mate. Would it be different if I was living in the UK? Maybe.
I'll give you an example. Like even me, right? I have a collection of video games. I think that's why I'm reluctant to buy any more retro ones. I've got enough anyway. And I think for me, it's a case of for me, it's a case of like my friend who's uploaded these he's actually put in his Facebook, I'm selling all this stuff. If anyone's interested, I'm tempted, Part of me actually wants to buy this box Dreamcast. My Dreamcast is kind of dirty. All I have to do is clean it, but his one's cleaner than mine. Stuff like this. But mine's not boxed. It's nice to have the box for it. Stuff like that. And I bought mine pre-owned anyway years ago. But it's a case of, do I want to have all this? Do I already want to have all this clutter, which I'm not going to play just to collect? And if I'm going to do it, it'll have to be like a display or a showroom or something. If I'm going to do it, and I rate a lot of people who do this. There's a number of friends of mine that I know that have rooms just for collections and stuff. But I don't know if I really want to do that, because I'm not going to have time to play all these games, shall we say? If I really want to play a game, I'll buy it, and there it is. So I think that's my attitude now. And I think in years from now, I was just talking to a friend of mine on WhatsApp about this just last night in an audio message about emulation with retro stuff, shall we say, with the 3D emulations. And as time goes on, they'll be easy to emulate anyway. You won't even have to own the system. There's other ways you could do it via, mini consoles or Raspberry Pis or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Play these games if you really want to give them a go, and it won't cost you anything. So I suppose there's that element if you really, really want to play that game. But playing games is a very different thing to watching a movie. Watching a movie, you just chill out, you put it in, you watch it. With a video game, you're tasking your mind to actually interact with the media.
Yeah, correct.
So it's whether you've got the patience for that. And it's I feel like maybe it's me, maybe I'm getting older and patient. No, I'm not getting old and impatient. I still have a Switch, and I still play. I bought a new game for that anyway.
Are you sure? Are you
yeah,
sure?
Yeah, I did buy a new game for that. It's
not about you getting older and impatient.
Oh, maybe I'm getting older and impatient. That's why I'm more into film now than I am with into games. I think that's it, and it's finding the time to do things. Like you're going to be a father soon, man. That's another thing. Sorry to sort of sting.
That's all right.
No, but it's a fact.
Then,
it's a fact, and even me, as I get older and older, and I have other priorities in life, whether I'm going to be a father or not, or a family person or not, I still am a family person. I've got my parents to take care of and things like that. So again, I have other things in life, and I've sort of maybe I've evolved. Maybe it's an evolution in myself and the way I see games, which is I love video games. I'll always play them, but I'm not going to be as hardcore as I used to be when I was younger, and that will eventually fizzle as well. So I'm changing.
100%.
Video games. And maybe my attitude towards owning tangible copies might go out the window if a digital copy is cheaper. Yeah. And maybe I'll just say, well, I'm only going to play this game, and that's it. And that's it. Whereas movies, and maybe that might change with me as well. Like I've got a home cinema that I'm looking to buy, and that's a passion of mine. But eventually, as that passion fizzles out and as digital media goes, it will go. But I'm glad that I'll have the momentum of all these movies that are in high definition that I can watch at my leisure. Which a lot of people won't be able to do then, and maybe that might be worth something. So we'll just see what the future holds. But whether it declines or not, the way things are going and the way things are going, there's no way you can resist that flow. Unless I spend loads of money on 4K films, which I'm not going to do. But I'll enjoy things for the moment, and that's it. If I want a 4K film, I'll buy one. If it goes to streaming, there'll always be a way of watching it. It's just nice to own the physical copy, and that's what I just want to conclude with. I will always prefer physical copies over digital, but if that's the way it's going to go, it's the way it's going to go, my man.
Well, that's the thing. I think you that's the whole that's it basically what you said, right? We are evolving, as is the physical medium, as is the industry, right? We are evolving as well.
You're changing.
Now our current, we're in our 30s. We're all friends here. We're in our 30s.
The dirty 30s.
Right, we're in our dirty 30s.
Yeah.
We've lived with a specific type of physical medium, which is getting whittled away. Let's be honest, right? Discs are. Let's be honest. Streaming is king right now, right? Streaming and subscription services, OTT, direct to consumer. Sorry, that is king right now.
We've still got a way to go. So
we've got a way to go, but you can't deny that shops like HMV are they're basically almost dead. They've had to go online as well, right?
It's the artists. It's the artists that help them.
Yeah. Well, it's you think of it this way: everything that used to be brick and mortar, there's a reason why they're not there anymore, and it's because everything is evolving. Everything is evolving for this in-demand service that's like right here, right now. I'm a spoiled child, and I'm gonna cry if you don't give it to me, right? And that's not gonna change. The pace of us having everything right here in front of our faces is impeccably fast. It's ridiculous how fast we've gone from 0 to 100, man. You think of where we were in technology, right? The 80s is the dawn. Let's just say 80s was pretty much the dawn of tech. Then 90s hit, and then boom! What the hell just happened? We're now in the noughties, and here we are in 2020. Holy crap!
Remember, I started working with tech when I saw the analog age transition to the digital age in 2002. Yeah. I remember seeing that happen with VHSs. We stopped sending VHSs and VHS combination units, and it's just the way we view things is going to change. And do you know what? So much the better. If they can make high definition streaming as good as physical media, then great. But I think it's still got a way to go before we get that. And also, it has its benefits too. We can't be too harsh with it. It's just sometimes, like I mentioned with some films, Godfather again, you can't stream that. There's some films you will have to own on physical media.
True.
But that's for you to work out on your own, and that's
very true. So I think Sorry, go and finish. Yeah.
But yeah, I'll go on. You finish. Go on. You.
I was gonna say I think we both really answered it, right? To answer the question is physical media dead? The answer is right now no, right?
No.
Especially for a lot of industries, the answer is for sure not for a while. It is dwindling down. The fire is dwindling, right? We can say the fire is dwindling with this kind of like upsurge of everything everything to the cloud. However, you also cannot negate the fact of physical media turning kind of like into an antiquity, right? So vinyls, photography, so many people getting back to film. Kodak still producing film, 35 millimeter and on medium format.
Yes.
Ilford are still producing. There are so many. There are so many companies still producing these emulsions because there comes a wave of like popularity and resurgence of these older.
I think there will always
products,
be.
Right?
I think there will always be a physical media niche. I mean, one thing I forgot to mention was when I was doing my Mega Drive mini build, I discovered some more modern games that had come out, and they create these repro cartridges. So there's this game called Xenocrisis, which came out in 2017, and it's basically a game for the Mega Drive if you still have it, and you can buy one, and you can buy the copy and play it, or you can download it on digital, so you can play it on your ROM, or on the emulator. So they've actually created a game for an old platform if you're a fan of that. So that's a very niche thing, mind you, but I do think that there'll still be a small niche in 20, 30 years. And I think when a big film comes out, there will be a physical copy of it if you really, really want to own it. But it'll just cost you a bit of money. That's it.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah,
it's just the thing is it is a sad feeling to know that when you've lived through something that's been such a huge part of your life, knowing that it's basically slowly dying out, right?
And in 30 years' time, I'll be 65. That's a depressing thought, man. 64, Yeah, let's move on, shall we?
We've just basically gone to a point of the podcast where we're just depressed now.
Look what you did to me,
we're just talking. We're just reminiscing. We're just basically realizing how old we are and how far technology has come. Right, but that's the whole point of this. We've come with our experience, mind you. We've lived it now. We've lived that that tech boom. And it's.
I think. I do see myself in a few years' time to sort of say packing it in with the home cinema thing. I can sort of see that happening. And I say, no, I can't be bothered now. I'll just watch it. I'll probably give into streaming at some point. Who knows? You know what? I can see that happening when if things change for you in life and you got other things and priorities.
That is true. Priorities. That's it. Life priorities, mate. Yeah. Well, you know what? It's going to be interesting to see what the future holds.
Well,
all we need is a DeLorean.
Oh, well, I was almost in the process of buying one of those things.
Mate, you completely should. That is basically the father of antiques.
Every geek's fantasy, and yet there are cars that are a lot cheaper and better now than that.
Of course, man. DeLorean's a piece of crap. Come on,
it is a rubbish car.
It's a piece of crap.
It just looks good. It has doors that open. If they
just put it in the film, and people were just like, "Wow!" But it's a piece of crap, man. Come on.
Well, by the time they put it in the film, the car had already flopped anyway. And if you look at the history of DeLorean, it's interesting. What he did to the
Marty McFly in the film, he questioned Doc himself, didn't he? It's like you built a time machine out of a DeLorean.
Well, I thought if you're gonna do it, why not do it with some style?
Yes. Perfect. I think with that bombshell, we're coming up to the hour point. Yeah, this is. I think this has been a good talk. We're come to a realization that things are coming to a inevitable change.
Hey, but I'll enjoy things while they last, my friend.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll enjoy it while they last, and I'll enjoy it while I want them to last as well.
Yeah, man.
I might change.
You know what? Yeah, because I have 3 film cameras now. Still, I use on a regular basis. I still go out and buy film. They're quite easily accessible in Hong Kong, and it's one of those things. I can definitely see. My old man, he's got a Nikon FE. He's got a film camera. Oh, good.
Old, but he has it all boxes, and if he ever wants to pull it out, he can. If he wants to do film again, he can. But I think with the advent of digital, he's gotten a bit lazy himself. So At least he's got that there, and they're worth a fortune, by the way. These older cameras for people who want to buy them, they're worth quite a bit of money.
Yeah, they are. They're actually they are. There's a definitely good market for them. Well, on that note, any last words, Vidge?
Well, this has been fun. It's depressing to know that this is going to happen, but I guess I'm just going to hold on and enjoy life as much as I can with this physical media that I have. And you know, if I think they'll always, in terms of gaming, they'll always be there. And if I have to pay a premium for an older game and I really, really want it, I guess I'll buy it. But I don't think I don't really see that happening. But you know, in terms of movies, well, you know, if like for example, you know, I got 3 copies of Blade Runner. You know, I got on DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K. Yeah, because I love that film. So again, there are some people who will do that, you know, but again, there are some people that won't. But I think there'll always be that option. You know, whether it phases out, there'll always be pre-owned copies you can buy if you really want to have the physical version. You know, so I'm not really that bothered. But you know, it hasn't come to an end yet. The fat lady hasn't sung. True. So enjoy things while it lasts. And you know, for those purists out there like me who love the best image quality, Blu-ray and 4K is still better than streaming. I just want to put that out there. Yes, very rightly so, and very good point as we wrap up. So that's basically, we come to the end of the show. Please do like and subscribe if you like the stuff we talk about. If you like this episode, do give us a like. If you've listened this far, well done. We'll give you a prize sometime in the future, maybe something physical. And then what do you reckon we'll talk about next? Oh gosh, you always put the pressure on me, you know. I mean, okay. So we've done 3 gaming topics, 1 film topic, and so far 1 tech topic. How about we do a fusion? Yeah, somebody actually suggested this to me, a fan that listens to the show. He goes, "Why don't you talk about the top 3 sort of game to movie transition and the top 3 movie to game transitions?" All right. I've got a couple I wanted to know. So obviously the bigger ones are something like Resident Evil, right? But do you remember they did a Super Mario Brothers film? Do you remember that? Do you remember that, mate? It's a guilty pleasure of mine. I don't own it on disc yet. That's one thing I don't own on DVD. I just want to clear that air there. Dennis Hopper. I don't own it, but if it's on TV, I'll watch it. And then Bob Hoskins was it? Who was Mario? Wasn't he? Yeah. Bob Hoskins was Mario, and other actor's name, but he was in Carlito's way as the the American one. I think is his name. He looked Italian. I don't know. Wow. Anyway. Well, on that bombshell, we can talk about that, but we'll see. Next episode is all up in the air anyway. We'll see what we talk about then. Yeah, I'm sure. Well. On that bombshell, thanks for taking your time, mate. Yeah, you too. Yeah, I know it's late for you. Thanks for having the energy for this. I hope you get to sleep now. Yeah, good fun. Yeah, and as always, we'll see you next time. See you next time, guys.